We have a lot of vocabulary today. This should be review, so we're not going to spend too much time on it, but you do need to have definitions written down. A coordinate plane is a plane formed by the intersection of a horizontal number line called the x-axis and a vertical number line called the y-axis. So again, you should all know what this is by this point in life. You have this and you have this, your x and your y here. Your x-axis is the horizontal axis on the coordinate plane, as shown in that picture. The y-axis is the vertical axis on a coordinate plane, as shown in that picture. Quadrant are the four sections on a coordinate plane separated by the x and y axes. A quadrant, this is how these go: 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you write them in Roman numerals. The x-coordinate is the first number in an ordered pair. It tells the distance to move right or left from the origin, 0, 0. The y-coordinate is the second number in an ordered pair. It tells the distance to move up or down. And the origin is the point where the x and y axis intersect on a coordinate plane, 0, 0. So right smack dab in the middle, that is 0, 0, and that is the origin. Okay? So we reviewed those words today because we are going to be graphing pairs and telling which quadrant pairs lie in, as well as giving the order pair of a point. So, point R, first of all, is right here. Remember, quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. So since we labeled those, I already know quadrant 1 is where point R lands. Now in quadrant 1, my x is positive, my y is positive. Okay, so in order to get to R, I had to go right one spot, so that's my x is 1, and I had to go up 1, 2, 3, so my y is 3. So we want 1 unit right, 3 units up. Okay, quadrant, or point S, sorry, is right there. Now, because it lies on the y-axis, it is not in a quadrant. It's on the y-axis. In order to get to point S, we did not need to move left or right. So we're going to put a 0 there for going right. And we went down 1, 2, 3. Okay, so our x is our going right or left, so that's 0. And because we went down, our y is negative. Okay, so down gives us a negative number. Point T is there. By our labels of our coordinates, we know that's in quadrant 2. This time, I didn't go right, I went left. I went 2 units left from the origin right there, and then I went 2 units up. Because I went left, my answer is -2, and up is +2. So left gives me a negative number. Right gives me a positive number. I'm going to write that somewhere else so it's not confusing. Here we'll go right. We went right this way. Right is positive. And up is positive. Okay? Now, quadrant 2, before we get any further, in quadrant 2, our x is negative, our y is positive. Okay? And the last thing is point U, which is right there. Point U is on the x-axis. So just like the y-axis isn't in a quadrant, the x-axis also isn't in a quadrant. And we went to get to U from the origin 3 units left, and 0 units up. So because we went left, remember left is a negative, and we went 0 units up. Now we know our signs for our x and our y's for quadrant 1 and 2, but 3, our x is negative and our y is negative, and for 4, our x is positive while our y is negative. That helps you, when you are given an ordered pair, know exactly which quadrant it should be in, and when you graph it, if it's not in that quadrant, you know you did something wrong. So if you look at the next example, for example, 3, 4, well, they're both positive, and we're going to come back positive, positive, negative, positive. So because they're both positive, we can say, oh, well, that needs to lie in quadrant 1. So if it's not in quadrant 1 when I graph it, then I did it wrong. In order to get to 3, 4, because 3 is positive, we know we go right, because the word right means positive. And it's up 4, and because it's up, it's 4, positive 4, because we know 4 up is positive. If you go down and look, they went over 3, up 4. Okay? B is 4, 0. Because one of the coordinates is 0, that is in a non-quadrant. It's either on the x or y axis. And because the y is 0, it is on the x-axis, which can get confusing. Anyways, in order to get to point B, we went 4 units right, and we went nowhere for 0. So I'm going to put none. We didn't go up 0. Negative 4, 4. Well, up here, negative x positive y is in quadrant 2, okay? And in quadrant 2, this is C. From the origin, to get to C, we had to go left 4, which left would make it negative 4, okay? And then we went up 4. And for the last one, D, negative 1, negative 3, both of our coordinates are negative, so it's in quadrant 3. So we went left. Oops, that's not D. I circled the wrong thing, if you even noticed. D is down here. We went left 1, which is negative 1, and then we went down 3, which would make negative 3 because we went down. Alright, find the distance between each pair of points, K and L. Because K and L run horizontally, oops, messed up, okay, so these are horizontally, we're going to use the horizontal axis, which is the x-axis, so it applies to the x coordinates. Okay? So we're going to look at point K, and we're going to look at point L. And if you notice, this one doesn't just go 1, 2, 3, 4 on when they label it with our little numbers on our number line. So actually, K is at negative 2. Okay, and L is over at 4. So what we're going to do is we are going to take these two numbers and we're going to put them in the absolute value sign. It doesn't really actually matter what order you put them in. I'll show you. We can do negative 2 minus 4 and we get negative 6. The absolute value of negative 6 is 6. So the units are 6 units apart. Or if we flip those around, we would have 4 minus a negative 2. And these would change to positive, and we would have the absolute value of 6, which would still give us 6. So if you're like, I'm not going to remember what order to put my numbers in, well, guess what? It doesn't matter. That's a good thing. Then looking at M and N, because they're vertical, we use the y coordinates. Okay? So M is up here at 6, and n is down here at -6. So again, we can put these in any order. We can put 6 and put the -6 here. These change to positives, so we get 12. The absolute value of 12 is 12. So the points are 12 units apart. Or we can do -6 minus 6 absolute value. We get the absolute value of -12, and the answer is still 12. So I just like to show that you can do both ways, so you're not like scared about what to do. You cannot just count, you have to show your work how we showed our work here. Do your check it out. On 3, show your work. Okay. Number 1, you can just do like K is in quadrant 2, and it's at -3, 4. Okay, that's all you have to do. You don't have to draw that out.